And now, Knock 2 Studios presents Common Censored.
I think I found my future wife absolutely based.
You tired of coming home after a long day of committing tax fraud just to feel like you're being watched in your own house? You're not imagining it. Here are my top 3 tips to find out whether or not your chicken is a fed. Number 1, check around the coop. What you want to be finding here is eggs and chicken. If instead you're finding MK Ultra documents, that is not a good sign. Stay vigilant. Number 2, when listening to your bird, if instead of clucking, they're relaying numbers in a seemingly random order, that is not a chicken, that is a government-funded number station. Again, not what you want. Last but not least, number 3, look for a response. Well, within earshot of your chicken, casually say something like, I think Ted Kaczynski did nothing wrong. If your bird remains silent, they've begun recording your conversation and are uploading your coordinates. That is a fed, and if you do not act immediately, the news is going to say that you drowned while swimming. I hope this has been helpful, good luck, Godspeed, and trust no chicken.
Goodbye, my love!
Make sure you leave a like on this video if you haven't yet. Subscribe or follow down below for more.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Common Censored. Thanks for being here, all of you censored commoners. I'm Lord Sterling, and this is episode 258. And don't worry, I haven't heard any numbers being spoken in random order by Loki, our mascot here at Common Censored, so hopefully it's not a fed bird in my case. So this is episode 258. We got all kinds of crazy stuff to talk about today. The Coachella assassination attempt. Fake news. It looks like Joe Rogan is going to be having Donald Trump on his podcast soon, adding credence to my theory that this was always the plan, and they were just staving it off until right before the election for maximum impact. So that's what it seems like is going to happen sometime soon. We also have news Trump is using decoy planes, which is exactly what I said he should do right after the news about the shoulder-launched surface-to-air missiles being smuggled over the border, potentially in plans to attack Trump Force One. So good to hear he's using his noggin and is using decoy planes to prevent people from being able to figure out where he is and when. So that's really good news. We also have a report from Iran who says that tall, white aliens are controlling America. Uh-oh, guys, what do you think about that? Is it reptilian propaganda? The reptilians are just trying to cast all blame onto the Aryan aliens? Maybe that's what it is. We also have a special guest coming on in an hour, Mark Putrino, high-level trader and financial analyst. We'll get into a couple of his details in a moment. So you guys can look forward to that. 7:45 he'll be coming on. Make sure to join us Monday through Friday, 6:45-ish Eastern time as we cover all the crazy clown world clusterfuck chaos on Common Censored. Use hashtag Common Censored and hashtag InfoInfantry when you share the show. You can find us on X at LordSterling_. We're also at Truth Getter Gab Minds and variations of @_Common Censored and @Common Censored. You'll be able to find us. You'll recognize the logo. Thanks to all the new Rumble followers that joined us over the weekend. Appreciate you guys. Links to all of the content we discussed today will be posted in the video description on Rumble immediately following the broadcast. So if you're watching this later, click down in the video description, find the topics that interest you, and Mama Mac will be adding timestamps to the show notes throughout the broadcast. So if you're watching this later, you can figure out which stories interest you and jump right to that point in the podcast. Thanks, Mama Mac. Make sure to hit up alplama.com and throw Mama Mac some love. And if you want to support the show, you can head on over to our link tree @Common Censored for the various ways to support us. Disclaimer. Views expressed on Common Censored are only opinions. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. We're not giving medical, legal, or financial advice. The only advice we are giving is think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Boom! All right. Let's hop into the news. First off, I'll give you guys a little bit of a heads up. We're going to have Mark Putrino on 7:45 from the YouTube channel Stock Market Jobber. Make sure to go over there and give him a follow. Let's look over at his LinkedIn real quick, give you guys an idea of who he is. Chief Market Technician and Senior Investment Writer from Stamford, Connecticut. He has stock trading classes at Benzinga, but he's got all kinds of experience going back decades. Let's see, show all 8. He's been all over the place, working as a trader for Gabelli and Company, 1997 and 1999, SAC Capital Advisors, 99, Lombardia, Lapidace. He worked over at Stansberry Research, who I get financial letters in the email from all the time. Really good stuff, Porter Stansberry. And he's the chief market technician and lead educator at benzinga.com. He'll be joining us in a little bit, thanks to my de facto advisor, Silence Dogood, the lady back from the dead, for hooking me up with Mark. So we can look forward to hanging out with him in a little bit and getting his take on everything. He's knows all about the markets, all about the Revolutionary War, all about the Federal Reserve and everything. So it's going to be a fun conversation. So let's jump into the news. First, let's hop over to Mindy motherfucking Robinson over here at iHeartMindy on X. I'm pretty sure we've covered some of her stuff before. She's talking about the assassination attempt at Coachella over the weekend. The man they just arrested for supposedly, quote, trying to kill Trump in Coachella is my good friend and business partner for America Happens, Vem Miller. Vem had just exposed a huge deep state cover-up involving the feds at the Bundy Ranch scandal. So I firmly believe this is 100% some kind of setup in retribution for exposing that or Trump's security team is a bunch of dipshits trying to make up for how badly they failed in Pennsylvania with any kind of, quote, win they can get, fake or not. From what I understand, Trump's people are saying it was not an assassination attempt. There isn't a universe in which his intention was to kill Trump. He's worked too hard in this movement to expose the deep state and all the people against him. If he had guns in his car that were illegal, whoop-de-fucking-do. As a pro 2A advocate, ask me if I give a shit about a good guy with a gun in an unsafe shithole like California. I don't. NFA, all these gun laws are illegal. So I couldn't care less. It doesn't even make sense why his passes would be fake either, when we were both usually invited as media to these things. Apparently they weren't fake passes. That's more fake news. And I'd love to see exactly what this, quote, threat, unquote, that he made about Trump was, because I don't believe he said it. I just know it's going to be the most misconstrued bullshit thing ever when I finally hear, assuming they ever tell us. This is the anti-deep state documentary we did that they're probably targeting him for, where we actually suspected they killed our whistleblower over it. It's that damning to this illegitimate government. Let's hop over and see what this documentary is real quick. Bundy versus Deep State. An original America Happens documentary. Boom. Following that. Let's hop back over to her post. We were also working on a sequel to my Las Vegas shooting cover-up doc as well, which may be another reason why someone would target him for this. Let's check this one out. Conspiracy Truths, the Route 91 documentary. Very interesting, very interesting. Either way, I stand by Vem Miller, and I will get to the bottom of this bullshit. Watch me. Watch me. Culture war, quote, I want to Vem Miller. Another assassination attempt thwarted. I don't think so. Let's get the story from the horse's mouth. Let's hop over to Alex Jones, who interviewed Vem Miller today. Exclusive. Trump assassination, quote, suspect joins Alex Jones to set record straight as arresting sheriff admits Vem Miller never said he was going to kill the president, was given bad info. Imagine my shock. You know who called this right off the bat? Sam Duty. He watched the press conference by the sheriff and was like, this This isn't passing the smellometer. The smellometer. So let's take a look at this interview with Alex Jones.
You know, I'm seeing the awakening, but I'm also seeing the issue with the, echo chamber. You know, I'm from Hollywood. I grew up in Hollywood. I have a lot of colleagues that I wish would open their eyes. It's almost like they're trapped within this homogenous system. They're too scared to speak out. Fear is a big thing, and if I could credit you and also President Trump, it's because of people like you that people like me have had the courage, watching President Trump, watching the work that you do, to actually come out of the closet, so to speak, and really fight for the real thing. And, I left a very healthy six-figure salary in Hollywood. There was a lot of sacrifice in that. And I got to tell you, I've never felt better. I've never felt better because I'm actually feeling like I'm actually following in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, which is my primary goal. This is a battle between good and evil. I would say this is a war between good and evil. We can't afford to lose this war for truth. And so I thank you for being such an inspiration in that process. I'm in California now, and I'm driving up to Coachella, and I have a special pass, which I got an invite from the Nevada Clark County Republican Party, right? And the individual, by the way, is willing to go on the record saying that, and he's really high up in the Nevada Republican Party. He's willing to say that he's the one that got me those passes. It was a special invite. So as I'm driving to the parking lot where the special invitees park, I see a sheriff or somebody wearing a sheriff vest on the side of the road. So I drive up to him and I tell him, just like I do every single time as a common courtesy, look, I have a couple of firearms in the back. I'm certainly not going to take him inside the rally, just letting you know out of common courtesy.
Standard procedure. Standard procedure.
Well, this time, this gentleman tells me to pull over. And then another cop comes to my door and says, get out of the car, turn around, and then he handcuffs me. And they throw me in the back of a police car. They come up to me, they say, hey, we just care to know if these guns were lawfully registered. Could we check the serials? And I say, sure, I have nothing to hide. You could grab the serials. They're part of the National Registry. These were purchased lawfully. Well, they start ransacking the crap out of my car. I'm talking about they're doing, bomb sniffing dogs. They're going into the actual muffler and doing some kind of swab test. They're going inside the hood of the car. I had 3 luggages in there with clothing, equipment, media equipment, computers, all of that. They go through everything. And guess what? They don't find anything. And it was very obvious what they're trying to find, if there was any meat on those bones, of whatever crazy theory that they had, right?
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
While other networks lie to you
Very
about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth. The link today.
So when I saw, the news, I thought, I hope this isn't the case. But then I talked to people like Pete Santilli that I've known for a long time. He's a great reporter. He knows this fella personally. And said, it's pure crap what you're hearing. So to try to describe what really happened from the man himself and where all this is going and his concerns about the election and what's happening is Vim Miller. Here's the New York Post headline. Armed man Vim Miller arrested Saturday outside Trump's Coachella rally. He had 100,000 people there. As local sheriff insists it was a third assassination attempt despite letting Perp walk on meager $5,000 bail. Then the sheriff backed off of that. Here's a Fox News headline. Man arrested outside Trump Coachella rally denies assassination attempt. He's all in supporting Trump. Vim Miller, 49, said he reported the guns to authorities, which he says he always travels despite never using them, at a checkpoint to get into Trump's Coachella rally on Saturday evening, and argued that documents Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco said were fake are legit. Okay, so joining us is Vim Miller. Vim, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me on your show. I'm a great fan and really love being on your show. Thank you.
It's good to have you. So people that I've known for a long time and trust, they say you're a great guy. They've known you for many years. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us what really happened Saturday night in Coachella.
So my background is I'm actually from Hollywood. I started working in media in the early 90s when I was still a high school student. And following that, I actually seen behind the curtain, so to speak, in terms of the media. And that all led me to, I'm kind of going to, go do the Cliff Notes version. I was a music video director, directed big music videos for artists like DMX, John Mayer, Master P, a whole bunch of music, about 100 music videos between 2001, 2008. After that, I started creating and selling TV shows and also working in the mainstream media, which I did pretty actively till about 2018. Amongst all of that, in early 2000s, I came up with this concept of the America Happens Network, which is really about uncensored media, where we came up with our tagline, Rage Against the Mainstream Media, and actually went viral on MySpace back in 2007.
MySpace.
And I was featured on Young Turks talking about this America Happens Network and the content we were producing, which I kind of went back and forth between the mainstream stuff and almost moonlighting at night, so to speak, with doing exposés and that sort of thing, having to do with what's really happening. Like one of our first stories we put out there was the Gary.
My initial analysis, 0% chance this guy wants to take out Trump. Just doesn't seem like it. He seems like he's on our side about pretty much everything.
Situation with the CIA bringing crack cocaine, according to his documents and evidence, into South Central, Watts, Compton.
Yeah, conservatives are so
80s,
time
including guns and that
delayed
sort of thing, really to fund foreign wars. And so all that stuff became a concern to me because I started realizing that the mainstream media doesn't cover all this stuff. And I wondered why.
I didn't know you have to leave soon, so I didn't mean to interrupt. But people say you've been around a long time, I'm familiar with your work, so you're a good guy. And we'll get back into your work in a moment. So what really happened in Coachella?
So in Coach, and by the way, we could stretch it a little bit. I've already texted the next individual.
Good.
I'm really flattered to be on your show. So what happened at Coachella is really what happens at every rally I go to. Like, firstly, I ran for office in 2022 as a Republican. I'm a huge Trump supporter. I highly respect the president. I've been around the president and his extended family like more times than I could count. I've been in private rooms with this man, and so
yet they're claiming he wants to take him out. He's like hung out in the same room with him before. That would have been an opportunity.
I definitely had no negative intentions towards President Trump. Every time I go to a rally, I carry my 2 guns in the back of my car. And that is because once I started becoming active with the America Happens Network and exposing stuff, I started having death threats mailed to my home and emailed to me. And prior to that, prior to 2022, I did not even own a gun, right? But once that started happening, I bought a couple of guns, which I carry in the trunk of my car. And when I arrive at any Trump rally, mostly in Nevada, I let the police officers know as a courtesy that, hey, I got guns in the back of my truck, just letting you know, in case you see somebody breaking in there or anything like that, just letting you know as a common courtesy what's going on. And every single time they thank me. A lot of the members of the Republican Party are gun-carrying members, including Michael McDonald, who is a former police officer. All these individuals, from what I understand, carry guns in their car. So that to me didn't seem like a crime or anything negative. And certainly the officers in Nevada didn't see that as a bad thing. Well, I'm in California now and I'm driving up to Coachella and I have a special pass, which I got an invite from the Nevada Clark County Republican Party, right? And the individual, by the way, is willing to go on the record saying that, and he's really high up in the Nevada Republican Party, he's willing to say that he's the one that got me those passes. It was a special invite. So as I'm driving to the parking lot where the special invitees park, I see a sheriff or somebody wearing a sheriff vest on the side of the road. So I drive up to him and I tell him, just like I do every single time as a common courtesy, look, I have a couple of firearms in the back. I'm certainly not going to take him inside the rally, just letting you know out of common courtesy. Well,
right, like standard procedure. You get pulled over by a cop, you got guns in the car, hands on the dash. Just letting you know, officer, there's a firearm in the vehicle. You let him know.
This time, this gentleman tells me to pull over. And then another cop comes to my door and says, get out of the car, turn around, and then he handcuffs me. And they throw me in the back of a police car. They come up to me, they say, hey, we just care to know if these guns were lawfully registered. Could we check the serials? And I say, sure, I have nothing to hide. You could grab the serials. They're part of the National Registry. These were purchased lawfully. Well, they start ransacking the crap out of my car. I'm talking about they're doing, bomb sniffing dogs. They're going into the actual muffler and doing some kind of swab test. They're going inside the hood of the car. I had 3 luggages in there with clothing, equipment, media equipment, computers, all of that. They go through everything. And guess what? They don't find anything. And it was very obvious what they're trying to find, if there was any meat on those bones, of whatever crazy theory that they had, right? And so they don't find anything, but the arresting officer comes to me, tells me he's taking me to jail anyways. By the way, this nonsense about a $5,000 bond, that never happened. I paid no bond.
More fake
there
news.
was no criminal charges, nothing like that.
This is crazy.
What happens at this point is they start realizing that the arresting officer is liaising with the Secret Service and feds, right? And he keeps telling me that they're going to ask you some questions. They want to interrogate you, all this stuff, right? So as we're leaving the location now we're 3.5 hours into it, he takes me by the RV where the federal officers are and the Secret Service are. And I see this man getting out of the car, the arresting officer. He walks up to these Secret Service and FBI members. I think there was about 5 or 6 of them. And you could tell that he's kind of trying to sell his pitch about, why I'm a danger, all this stuff. And what I noticed from their faces is that they seem very disinterested. It's almost like they weren't buying his nonsense. And then he comes back to the car after 25 minutes of talking to these guys, and he says, well, they're going to interrogate you in the police department, right? So he takes me to the police department. And by the way, during this whole time, I've been asking for my one phone call, which he has refused. I never got my one phone call, never happened. And I kept asking him. This is actually reflected in the body
I just want my phone call.
cameras, and it's reflected in the security cameras as well. And so he takes me to the police station. About an hour later or so, the Secret Service and the FBI arrive. They go into a room with this gentleman. They have a private conversation. 25 minutes later, they come out, and the Secret Service FBI officer says, hey, do you mind if you answer some questions? I tell him, listen, I would love to answer some questions, but I need to have my one phone call. And why don't we do this? Let me call my lawyer. Let me tell him this story. And it's a painful and traumatic story to tell because of the events of that day and what they put me through unnecessarily. And so I say, while I'm making this phone call and explaining to my lawyer, you guys are welcome to overhear the entire conversation, record it. I don't care. And then ask me any question you want. They say, thank you, sir. They leave the room again with the police officer. Then the police officer, the arresting officer, comes back and tells me that they don't even want to speak with me. They have no questions. And he tells me he's taking me to jail anyways. He takes me to a jail cell. I never get my phone call. At the end of it, they literally hand me a ticket for what are unconstitutional regulations, in my opinion, because in Nevada, you're allowed to have a gun that has a loaded mag. In California, the loaded mag has to be separated from the gun. The second thing that they ticket me for,
any regulations or restrictions on guns, in my opinion, are unconstitutional. 100%, as you guys know.
Or is that I guess there's something called a double chamber, and again, I'm a beyond.
Them, stay there. But it sounds to me like they knew you were coming, you were targeted, and then they wanted to just create fear or something. I mean, that's what this. I want to get your take. I haven't talked to you until we were live on there. I don't know your view. You're the guy that's happened to want to hear the rest of the story when we come back. But wow, sounds like California, doesn't it? We'll be right back with Vim Miller. Straight ahead. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones. Follow me on X, Real Alex Jones. And be sure and check out the AlexJonesStore.com if you want to keep us on air. I need your help, folks. We'll be right back. All right. Well, I appreciate Pete Santilli, who I've known for many years, investigative journalist, calling me late last night, or I guess about 9 o'clock at night, and saying that he knows Vim Miller. This is pure bull. Once I looked up Vim Miller, I've seen his work before. He's a filmmaker, a bunch of reports. Just, nice guy.
About what, Ed?
I guarantee at a Texas rally, when people are parking their cars out in the parking lot and then going through security, those cars are full of guns too. That's basically what he did. But the headline comes out, man found with a gun with fake credentials trying to get into VIP area. Whoa. Why would the sheriff get up and say that? Why would they put that out? I'm not even saying the sheriff did it. Somebody lied to him. And then later the sheriff backed off of it.
Said bad info.
The question is, why would this deputy do this? Why would Vim Miller be singled out? What do you think really happened here, Vim?
Well, Alex, I heard this arresting officer make derogatory remarks against MAGA people. I heard him say maggots. I heard him say something like dumb Trump people. Or I overheard him talking to a female officer. It was clear that this gentleman had an agenda, and it was clear that he was the liaison between myself and the feds and also the Secret Service. So he was feeding these individuals information. I think what happened in the interim is that these individuals, which I think are more experienced, they understand the law better, this gentleman clearly did not understand what he was doing, like evidence, like gathering evidence to back up, whatever claims you're making. And then these guys didn't even want to talk with me. And I'm talking about the Secret Service and feds, because I think they had already done the research and said, okay, this looks like nonsense. I think they released a statement to that effect where, they didn't feel like there was any threat to President Trump, that I wasn't a threat to them. So this could be a sheriff that's trying to run for governor, which is, I've heard what he's trying to do and trying to look like some kind of hero, or it could be the middleman. It could be the arresting officer giving him bad information. But whatever it was, the information that was handed down, the information that was reported was demonstrably false. And we haven't even gotten into our FOIAs and revealing what those cameras on the body of the officers reveals and the surveillance footage in the actual police department, which will show everything that I'm saying to be true.
Well, I mean, I've gone to a Trump event, and we had security in the car, and we had guns, and they just, I mean, they know who we are. They waved us in, we parked, we went to it. We didn't have the guns on us. But, I mean, you're out in the parking lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you were singled out or waved over for the search?
No. I drove up to the police officers like I always do, like I've done on at least 10 occasions in Nevada. And I told them out of respect. And when I ran for office, I had some police officer support, and certainly I was pro-police and against this.
Sure. I know you were saying Nevada, concept. So you did that here too. So obviously somebody coming to kill people doesn't say I've got guns in my trunk.
Right.
I did it out of my own will. That's the whole point. It wasn't like they found this or whatever. I drove up to them, tell them what I had in the back of the trunk out of respect for the police.
Wow.
Put everybody on an even playing ground.
How were you finally released? What happened when they released you?
They handed me a ticket with 2 citations, one that I had a mag in my gun, one that I had a double barrel mag in my Glock. Just a ticket. There was no bond whatsoever. That's also incorrect. I don't know how that came out about the $5,000 bond. That's not what happened.
So weird, man.
But the issue right now is that my car is still impounded. All my equipment's in the car. They're refusing to even let me have access to the car until Tuesday when the police department's open again. And it just sounds like they're going to cause a lot of problems. I have at least, I'd say $250,000 worth of equipment and intellectual property within that car.
Damn. Very weird situation. Very weird, man. I want to know what you guys think in the chat, so give me your takes down over there. For now, let's jump over to our next related topic. And if you guys want to watch the rest of this interview with Vem, I think Vem Miller, is that his name? Yeah, Vem Miller. The full link will be posted in the video description on Rumble, so you can watch the full thing. But let's hop over to CobraCast 199. With Jeremy, as he brought to my attention over the weekend that, through this podcast, not in direct communication, that Trump has now updated his travel plans to include decoy planes, which is a smart idea, exactly what I said he should do once it came out about the shoulder-launched missiles that are smuggled into the U.S. by Iran. So let's check out some of this.
See right here. This is big right here. I saw this tweet going around, and this right here, huge. So Trump has begun traveling with additional decoy planes and dividing his motorcade at times and putting Trump in nondescript plane putting Trump in nondescript planes that do not have his name on the side instead of his longtime 757 jet due to security concerns. Now listen, it must be serious if Donald Trump is not putting his name on the side of his plane. He's taking that shit seriously as hell at that point in time.
Puts his name on everything.
That's a huge move. And that just shows you that it's not just there. This is a serious situation. If Donald Trump is not wanting to plaster his name on what he's traveling in, that's scary shit, dude. That should cause, that puts it in full perspective right there. Donald Trump not traveling with his name on his plane. And if anybody knows anything about Donald Trump, he loves his name everywhere. So serious shit right there, man.
Yeah, serious shit. Shadow of Ezra reporting on X. President Trump has ramped up his security measures, traveling with additional decoy planes and occasionally splitting his motorcade. He's even been using unmarked planes without his signature branding to avoid enemy detection. Trump is set to announce Operation Aurora in Colorado, which he did announce plans to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deploy the military and eliminate every cartel and gang member that has infiltrated the country under the Biden-Harris administration. Look at him with the eagles guarding him. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. James Reichert also posting about this. Trump has ramped up security by using decoy planes, splitting up his motorcade to confuse potential threats. He's even ditched his iconic 757 jet, opting for nondescript planes instead. Why? This level of security is unprecedented for a former president, and it raises serious questions. Why are these measures necessary now? Because of those shoulder-launched missiles. Are there threats we're not being told about? No, we're being told about them. The media will brush it off, but this is a big deal. If Trump's security team is going to these lengths, it's time to start asking why. Something doesn't add up. What doesn't add up is that it seems like that individual missed the stories about the missiles being smuggled over the border. 9 shoulder-launched missiles. Let's hop over to Gary Franchi at Next News. He's talking about this also.
Brace yourselves, America. Donald Trump has just unveiled a plan so bold it's sending shockwaves through the political establishment. They're calling it Operation Aurora, and it's not for the faint of heart. But that's not all, folks. We've got exclusive intel on Trump's new cloak and dagger routine. We're talking decoy planes, split motorcades, and unmarked jets. The Donald has gone full stealth mode, and we've got to ask, what is he preparing for? Well, the left is screaming, the right is cheering, and we've got the inside scoop. Now, check this out. Are you listening? As Trump ramps up security and plans to shake the nation with Operation Aurora, smart Americans are securing their wealth with something equally stealthy: gold.
Gold! You gotta love gold. Let's go to this little advertisement.
Now, what is going on? So, Operation Aurora was announced. President Trump announcing Operation Aurora in Colorado, which will force the removal of illegal migrant members of the violent Venezuelan gang, TDA.
We need mass deportations.
Huge news. At the same time, we are learning that Trump is amping up his security. More threats ensue. Remember that story we broke like a week ago, where there was, they said there was missiles that were smuggled across the border, and the goal was to shoot down Donald Trump's plane. Well, it seems as though Donald Trump is taking that threat very seriously. And here is Jack Posobiec with more.
Had to cancel. Number one, President Trump, this is the headline out of the Washington Post right now. Massive, massive article. President Trump has requested military.
We'll get Mark Putrino's take on the gold and silver prices coming up at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time.
Aircraft and vehicles amid threats to his campaign. The FBI has not ruled out that Iran may be involved. We're also seeing, buried deep within this, President Trump has now been traveling with additional decoy planes and dividing his motorcade at times and putting Trump in nondescript planes that do not have his name on the side instead of his long-standing 747 jet due to these security concerns. This, of course, Trump Force One. We're also hearing that that President Trump's campaign has had to cancel recent public events at the last minute due to a lack of personnel from the Secret Service, instead only putting Trump in a small room with reporters rather than a public event. Also, we're getting news from President Trump. I got this from a Trump campaign official. It's coming hot and heavy here, folks. I'm just giving it to you as I receive it. President Trump also plans to announce Operation Aurora today at his rally in Colorado. What he's doing is that he announces that he will, as president, invoke the Alien Enemies Act to deploy federal assets immediately against Tren de Aragua and migrant criminal networks operating within the United States, that he will invoke the Alien Enemies Act. This is all coming fast.
So, yes, that was actually, so he's made the promise.
Exactly.
He's made the promise that once he is in office,
Gators,
he is going to invoke this act.
Yep, and the threat does not end November 5th. Even if it turns out as we hope, we still have to make it to January 20th, 2025. Trump needs to go in the bunker until Inauguration Day, in my opinion. He's out there doing all kinds of podcasts, though. Like he was just on Nelk Boys again, and he's going to be going on Rogan pretty soon, it seems. So we can get excited for that. That's going to have a big effect on people. Big effect. Going to be really interesting. So you guys know that the Drudge Report has gone so downhill. Something happened. It was like a switch got flipped, and it was all of a sudden just a leftist propaganda webpage. But look at this, Miranda Devine reporting over here. Drudge is so sleazy. This fake story leads the site this morning. It's a charter plane because Trump's plane developed mechanical issues. Campaign had no idea it once belonged to Epstein. But Drudge Report is over here saying the Don is using Epstein's jet as if it's like intentional and connected. Born to be free. Oh, gee, what's up over on Rumble? Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Whiskey. Must have missed it. So yeah, super stupid. Drudge Report, garbage as usual. Let's see what we got next on the list over here. Biden coming out, warning that killing Trump would be an act of war, warning Iran. U.S. spends millions to protect former Trump officials from Iran retaliation for Soleimani killing. So Biden's coming out, reportedly instructing the National Security Council to make it clear to Iran that any attempt on former President Trump's life would be viewed as an act of war, which just so happens to be exactly what they need. So they're probably still puppeting Iran. Did I say Iraq? Iran to go and come after Trump because they need World War III they need to stop the elections. So it would be good for them to have Iran attack Trump, and then they can cancel the elections, lock down the country, bring us to war, and that's what they need. And we will be able to do nothing about it, basically. So it's not only being reported that Trump is in danger from Iran, but that they have a whole list of former Trump aides that are going to be being targeted. I think it's a little bit sketchy, just as this poster does over on XM88 at Galaxy Enjoyer says this is the most obvious false flag setup anyone has ever seen. They've been seeding this for months. They will shoot down Trump's plane with a man-pad, blame it on Iran, get their cake, and eat it too, accomplishing everything they want: war, getting rid of Trump, locking down the country, interfering with the elections. And look at this picture of Jones over here with a I would say it was a 5 head, but that's like a 6 head, instead of a 4 head. I probably have a 5 head. That's like a 6.5 head at this point. Oh man. So crazy stuff. I don't buy it. Seems like a big setup to me. Speaking of the hatred towards Donald Trump and the TDS riddling and infecting the entire nation, let's hop over to this post from Johnny Midnight at its_the_dr. It's the doctor. She's telling it straight. And she's going to be comparing Orwell's 1984, 2 Minutes of Hate, with the Trump derangement syndrome. Seems like she's got a really good analysis here to me. So check it out.
Here's something intriguing. I've noticed some strange similarities between George Orwell's 1984 character Emmanuel Goldstein and what we see today with Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS. In 1984, Goldstein is a scapegoat for all of the world's problems. The public is fed lies and pushed to direct all of their anger towards this fictional villain. Sound familiar?
He's a punk. He's a dog.
He's a dog.
He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist.
You are the people in history they warned us about!
That one always cracks me up.
They warned us about people like you!
Today, the media has gaslit many into despising Donald Trump in a similar way. TDS is this compulsive need to blame Trump for everything, whether or not he's involved. Like Goldstein, Trump has become more than a person. He's a symbol, the focal point of a collective rage. It's no longer just about policies. It's an emotional reaction.
Like the devil came out and just whoever, we're gonna make people hate Donald Trump. Hate! Get him! I hate Donald Trump! He's a racist! He's a deadhead! White supremacist! He's an insurrectionist!
Our economy's tanking.
Jim Breuer's the man.
Borders are wide open. We've got serious issues like illegal immigrants eating our pets. Yeah, I'm
Eating the
not
dogs,
kidding.
eating the cats.
But yeah, during the 2024 Democratic Convention, instead of addressing these problems, speakers at the convention felt obligated to mention Trump's name 150 times. And that was just on the first day.
Donna,
just like Orwell's 2 Minutes of Hate, where the media keeps us locked in this endless cycle of outrage over every trivial thing Trump says or does.
He hates Mexicans and he says they're rapists and he hates black people.
And here's the kicker. It's all a distraction. While we're focused on Trump, we're not talking about the real issues plaguing our society. The political divide in this country is unlike anything I've ever seen. Mass mind control?
Mass formation psychosis? Yeah. A little bit.
Maybe. But, Hollywood and the media have clearly played a role. And when it comes to friends and family lost to media lies, I really believe ego plays a huge part, because some would rather die than admit that they were wrong. What have you experienced with your lost loved ones? I'd like to hear it in the comments. I'll leave you with this question. If the media knows they're lying, what are they trying to cover up that is so bad? Because when your hatred for one man is greater than your love for your country, you just might be part of the problem.
Booyaka. Walk away. Hashtag walkawaycampaign.com. Very well said. Very well said. And as far as divided family members, I have a little bit of experience with that. And it's TDS, man. These people are brainwashed. How about this? Tucker Carlson recognizing that if he's if Trump wins the election or loses the election, that he's fucked, that they're going to be coming after him for who knows what reasons, shutting him down, putting him in jail. Look at this little clip from his interview with Tucker the other day.
If he loses, man, what? You're fucked, dude.
I'm fucked. If he loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
Because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but, I get...
I have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know!
Well, the Kamala puppet, I call her, The machine that the Kamala puppet represents.
If he loses, man, what...
So, sketchy stuff. How about this? Elon Musk says Trump appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast, quote, will happen. Mike LaChance wrote this article. Is Donald Trump going to appear on the highly popular Joe Rogan podcast before the election? Elon Musk seems to think so, and he would know. He has appeared on the show a few times and knows Rogan very well. It's kind of amazing that Trump hasn't already been on the podcast when you think about it. Just like I've been saying, they're planning, I think the plan is to wait until the last minute, put Trump on the most popular podcast in the world for the maximum possible effect. We have an update. Trump confirming he's going to go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Rogan asks followers, do you want to see Trump on the podcast? I got that right over here, over on X, Joe Rogan podcast at Joe Rogan HQ, posting, do you want to see Donald Trump on the podcast? Yeah. Yep. Benny Johnson, more than any guest on planet Earth right now. Cat Turdy should have already been on it. No, I think it's pretty smart to hold it till the last moment and use it for maximum impact. Maximum impact. That's what I think is going on here. Jordan Conradson wrote this one. President Trump confirmed that he will appear on the Joe Rogan Experience during a recent appearance, on the Nelk Boys Full Send podcast. This comes amidst growing calls for Joe Rogan to interview Trump on his #1 podcast, which has millions of viewers, mostly between the ages of 18 and 34. That's a demographic we need to win. As Trump ramps up his appearance on popular podcasts, Kamala Mamala recently appeared on the sexually explicit Call Her Daddy podcast. Total garbage, as to be expected.
Joe Rogan has to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Oh, sure I would.
I think Joe, like, besides us, Joe's
I think
obviously-
I'm doing it, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you are going to do Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I am.
Joe Rogan's the best in the game for sure. And I think...
Damn. So we have confirmation from Donald J. Trump himself that he will be doing it. We can look forward to that. Hopefully it will have a huge effect on younger voters who will see Trump humanized for once, as opposed to the way the media projects him and paints him. Let's check out this meme from SKS Cartoon over here that I thought was pretty good. Rogan's been making sort of soft endorsements of various people. But what's the common thread among all these people that Joe Rogan is pumping, is pimping? I believe in Elon, says Joe Rogan. Oh, here's Elon shaking hands with Donald Trump. I'd vote for Tulsi. Here's Tulsi endorsing Donald Trump. Only RFK Jr. makes sense to me. Here's RFK Jr. now fully endorsed Trump. The common thread between all the people that Elon likes is Donald J. Trump. It's time. It's time for the interview. It's time to take the world by storm. And that's exactly what this is going to do, in my opinion. Let's hop over to another little post from Elon Musk, who says, if it looks like an invasion, sounds like an invasion, and uses guns like an invasion, then it's an invasion. Reposting real Donald Trump saying, America is being invaded. End the occupation. Liberate America. Liberate America. That's not even hyperbole. We are overrun, oppressed, taken over. The Constitution is basically in the shredder. We need to liberate America. Let's check out this clip released by Trump.
Open borders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America.
It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about migrant crime, this is what they're talking about. Biden and Harris had created a program to bring them in under humanitarian parole.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
An Afghan national is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
End the occupation. Liberate America. That's right. We are being invaded. Speaking of invasions, how about this one? Red Pill Bot at RedPillB0T on X posting this. Iran says tall white space aliens control America. What do you guys think about this? Forbes over here. This is a Forbes article, if you can believe it. Oh, come on. Get the zoom right. Iran says tall white space aliens control America. Michael Peck wrote this article. It's more than 10 years old, but it's interesting nonetheless. Documents leaked by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden conclusively prove that the United States has been ruled by a race of tall white space aliens who also assisted the rise of Nazi Germany in the 1930s. Interesting that they say that. Oh, look, Laird Bismuth saying this is clearly reptilian propaganda. The lizards are trying to place the blame on the Aryans, apparently. This actually You know, we saw the former Israeli defense minister come out a couple years ago saying that there's a galactic federation and that Trump is aware of it. It wouldn't surprise me if this is actually accurate. And they may be space aliens, but in my opinion, if they exist, they are located in their main base of command inside the Earth, deep underground in the hollow Earth during the 30s, the 40s. One of the things that the Nazis did was go to Tibet, where there is reputedly an entrance into the inner Earth, and the Dalai Lama is over there basically serving as an intermediary, allegedly, of course, between surface civilizations and these aliens from underground that are these giant, tall, white aliens, the Aryans. And so this could be true, although who knows? Obviously, it's pretty insane, to say the least. These revelations about our alien overlords might not cost you any sleep, but that part should concern you. But the part that should concern you is a tad is that the UFO story was just published by Far News Agency, the English language news service of Iran. Iran, named honorary Aryans by the Nazis during World War II. Iran, Aryan. That's the root of the word Iran, is Aryan. And so if anybody knows about tall white space aliens, it's likely Iran. Also deemed to be descendants of the Aryans. So really, really interesting stuff over there. Let's see what we got. 5 minutes till Mark is on. I actually see him down in the interface right now. Hey, Mark, are you ready to go live? All right. Give me 1 second, guys, as I pull up our guest. Boom. All right. Mark Putrino, welcome to the broadcast. It's a pleasure to see you. How's your week going so far?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll start off with Happy Indigenous People Day, okay?
Thanks.
And just talk about how stupid liberals and progressives are. All right, I read a lot. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I got books. I'm in my library. I got books everywhere around here. I was reading Columbus's actual journal, okay? Not a book about Columbus, but the journal that he wrote, okay? Now, when he got here, there were these two tribes, that were fighting each other. It wasn't like, kumbaya and a big, like, hippie loving or whatever, right? So anyway, he sided with one of the tribes and, just like they were doing each other, he enslaved some. As a reward, one day the king of the tribe comes down and he's got all these little kids that are like between 5 and 10 years old. And they're all like heavy and so forth and so on. Turns out that he wants to give them as a gift so Columbus could bring them back to Spain so the king and queen could eat them. Okay?
Whoa.
They were cannibals. All right? So they weren't just enslaving people. They were like growing people for the sole purpose of eating. But Columbus is the bad guy. So anyway.
Whoa. Just to clarify, who was growing people for the purpose of? You're talking about the king and queen of England?
No. One of the kings,
the tribal kings,
one of the indigenous people tribes.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
They were cannibals.
There's a reason they use the word savages. Exactly. It's not
thanks for helping us out. Here's a bunch of little kids. Bring them back to your king and fry them up. Put them on a piece of bread.
So insane. So, Mark, thanks for coming on the podcast. Mark has a YouTube channel, Stock Market Jobber. He's the lead educator over at Benzinga. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into whatever topics you'd like to discuss today?
All right. Well, I was an institutional trader for a long time, about 20 years. When I was in business school at New York University, which is, by the way, in Greenwich Village, which back then was completely safe, and Midtown was safe. The last time I was in the city, they got the freaking National Guard on the subway, but it's like, oh no, crime hasn't gone down. Crime hasn't gone down.
Right? Yeah, I remember that.
Crime's going down. Crime's going. The reason why it's going down is because of the statistics. The cops just don't arrest people because they know they're going to get off.
And they're not including L.A., New York, Chicago, these cities with all this crime. The FBI omitted them from their count. So they're artificially reducing the counts intentionally, in my opinion, by omitting the largest crime cities in the country.
It's really sad. But anyway, while I was in business school, I met a guy named Mario Gabelli, who is a famous money manager. I think now he manages about 50 or 60 billion. So I worked over there, and I worked as a market maker. He's mostly known for money management. In the stock market, there's two sides of it, right? There's what we call the buy side and the sell side. And it's just slang. Both sides buy and sell. The buy side is the people that have to pay commissions to get a trade done. So a retail trader is on the buy side. Hedge funds,
Okay.
mutual funds. So anyway, that's what Cabelli is known for. But he had a broker dealer, and I met him one day. Finally, I'll tell you the story about meeting him. I called him like every week for like a couple months. Finally, it was August 28th. My birthday's August 29th. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I pick up the phone. I figure it's just a bunch of my drunk friends telling me to come down to the bar. Anyway, it's like, this is Jane from Mr. Gabelli's office. He wants to meet you for breakfast tomorrow morning at 6:30 on the Putnam Diner on Greenwich Avenue. So I grew up in Greenwich, and Gabelli lives in Greenwich. And actually, Donald Trump used to live right down the road from where I used to live.
My dad lived in Greenwich too. He grew up on, I think it was Mimosa Street.
Oh yeah, I know where that is. I ride my bike over there sometime.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, I got hired there. I was a market maker. Then I ended up going over to SAC because the money was just a lot better. And that's the place owned by Stephen Cohen, who is now primarily known for owning the Mets. He has 0.72
interesting.
asset management. Could be if you look at his returns, he's arguably the greatest trader that's lived in the history of trading. His returns are
Wow.
off the roof, which is why he's got 17 billion.
Higher than Nancy Pelosi? That's pretty impressive.
He's got even more than her. San Fran Nan. Then I had a chance to go down to the city and be a head trader at one institution where we were doing everything: commodities, currencies, bonds, stocks. Then that place, there was a West Coast, East Coast war between the two partners, like the rap wars, and the West Coast won, so they shut the New York office, and I ended up at another firm in Greenwich, and so I've been an institutional trader for a while. Most recently, I founded the Benzinga Trading School. I teach people about how to trade. What really kind of shocks me is how many myths there are about Wall Street, how few people understand it. It's really, I don't know. It just kind of strikes me like everything you see is like, every newsletter is like former hedge fund trader, former hedge fund trader, former hedge fund trader. Well, let me tell you something. I am a former hedge fund trader, and it's not that big of a deal. There's plenty of hedge funds that suck, that go out of business. Just because you're a former hedge fund trader doesn't mean you know what you're doing.
Right. It doesn't mean you have any skills at it.
So now I'm trying to, we got our YouTube site, and we have, I have a Substack site, and I just started yesterday. I haven't fully developed it yet, but it's a new thing that Porter Stansberry is doing. It's called FinPub. And
ooh, nice.
Like on Substack, there's everything. I get Substacks about like cookbooks, this is all just like going to be financials, and they're going to keep it to a limited number of people, publishers, I should say, because they don't want to have hundreds of publishers. They want to find maybe 10 or 15 people that really know what the hell they're doing. So yeah, so I'm going to get that going too over the next week or so. So
nice.
Yeah, that's about it. That's
my boom. Looks like you interviewed Vice President Harris. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Why don't you read it? She told me all about her solutions.
Oh wow, that's crazy. All kinds of solutions. Nothing, I bet that she actually said. Oh man. Let's see. I can try.
Well, okay,
give me one second to.
I interviewed Janet Yellen too not too long ago.
Oh wow, how did that go? That's really interesting.
Dude, she was like hitting on me, man.
No way. That's so funny. That's so funny. I'm having trouble opening it up for some reason from my end, unfortunately.
Huh.
It's telling me to download the app.
Well, I could just, when I share my screen, I can show it to you.
Okay, sounds good. I have a question for you. What do you think about crypto?
It's in what sense? As an investment, or where is it going in the future?
Both of it, its viability in general, whether you think it's worth investing in, just what are your thoughts on it and where it's going?
Well, I think it's viable. Now, a lot of people that are not into crypto or aren't believers, so to speak, say that, well, you don't earn any money off of it or income. One of the traditional ways to value a stock or a company is to figure out what the dividends are, how much it's going to pay you. So Bitcoin doesn't have dividends, so forth and so on.
Neither do precious metals.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Something has value because people think that it has value. It's a market. So, but that being said, I mean, there's a lot of little cryptos out there that are, I mean, there's probably tens of thousands that were there for a day and have gone out of business. But
Shit
I think there's a
coins,
future
so to
there
speak.
for it.
Nice. I worry about crypto. I'm more into precious metals. So crypto, in my opinion, is I call it like the Guitar Hero of currencies, where you get all this cryptocurrency and then the power goes out and it's useless. It's like playing Guitar Hero, and then the power goes out and you can't play a real guitar because you've been using the controller. But I do see value as a method to bypass the central banks. It can be great for making money and trading as long as you have power. That's just the lack of power thing that freaks me out, and the possibility that it could all just disappear in an instant. What do you think about the precious metals prices nowadays?
I think they still got a little bit more upside in them.
Yeah,
but I
so.
don't like giving advice.
For sure.
Because you give people 10 ideas that work, and then you give them an 11th idea that doesn't, and it's all of a sudden that's all they talk about. So
Right, yeah, I feel you.
And the best traders lose money. I mean, Steve Cohen, like I said, one of the greatest traders in history, at least of our era, has said his best traders only make money on 2/3 of their trades. It's just that the 1/3 that they don't make money on, they either break even or have small losses. Trading is all about emotions and human emotions and psychology, and we'll talk about that when we get into the markets. But that's the biggest mistake is that a trader can make, is holding on to a loser for too long and selling a winner too soon. And like I said, I read a lot of history. You could read books from the 1840s, and the traders back then were saying the same thing, because emotions don't change, right? Our human psychology has not changed. That's why we see the same chart patterns in the late 1800s that we see now. And people say, well, that can't be the case. Things are so different. Technology is different.
Of course it can.
Different, but people aren't different. And we'll look at
Right.
some of those charts in a bit.
Sounds good.
To me, it's incredibly interesting.
So what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?
Should I share my screen now?
Sure, go for it.
All right.
Let's see if I can figure out how to bring up your screen instead of mine over here. Okay, boom. Added it to the screen. All right, here we go. Awesome, thanks.
All right.
Put this right at the top over here. Boom.
There's one thing I want to just kind of get off my chest over here.
Sure.
Talking about, damn it. What did I do with it? Well, we can just go Google it. It's this picture which every human being in the world should really be offended by. So this is when the Ukraine war broke out, right? And this is our Secretary of State and our Secretary of Defense. Look at the smiles on these guys' faces. This is so offensive. It's like a LinkedIn profile page. He's got his smile. He's got his, there we go. He's got his hands on his side. They got the top buttons on. Look at this idiot, right? It's like,
we can't, I don't think we can see it on screen.
You're here for a war, like people are dying, right?
For real.
Not only I guess you could argue that Andrew Johnson was a worse president than Biden, but Biden is probably the dumbest and probably definitely the most crooked. And I think that the Democrats didn't just push him out because of the debate. I think they pushed him out because they know that with this Hunter Biden tax trial thing, all this stuff is going to come out that he's, been on the take. And when it comes to Trump derangement syndrome, what's really amazing to me is that Joe Biden is the person that Trump derangement people think that Trump is. He's stupid. He's crooked. He's racist. Remember when he said about Obama, like, oh, here's your first African-American. It's a dream.
Right.
Man.
He's the first one that's clean and articulate. Just so you know, we can't see the picture. You might have to hit share this screen if you have multiple windows open.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Let me see here.
Should be right at the top of the window.
All right. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and then I'm going to reshare. And this is Spy.
One sec, guys. Technical difficulties. It's a natural result of producing on the fly. All right, here we go. Boom. Now we see a chart.
Okay, so let's just talk about the stock market for a little bit and just talk about human psychology. And I don't know. I'll just pick a random stock. I guess let's just pick NVIDIA, I guess. All right, so what do we see in NVIDIA? We see that certain price levels in the market are more important than others. And if you are a good trader, you can figure that out, or you can identify where these levels are. Now, like, just check this out over here, right? This is NVIDIA back in March. It gets up to around 94 or whatever, hits resistance and goes lower. The reason why it goes lower from resistance is because resistance is this large group of people that want to sell, traders and investors. If a market's going up, there's not enough supply to fill all the demand, so the buyers have to pay higher prices. When we get to a resistance level, all of a sudden, there is enough supply, all right? The buyers can buy all they want. Sometimes some of the sellers start to think, gee, I don't want to miss out. The buyers are going to go to whoever is willing to sell at the lowest price, so I better reduce the price I'm willing to sell at. And other sellers do that too, and they start undercutting each other. So the best traders let the market tell them what to do. Now, fast forward to early August, the market goes into a big move lower, and where does it find support? The same level that had been resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because there are people who sold back here who regret doing so when the price went higher, and they say, gee, I made a mistake. If this gets back to the same price I sold at, I'm going to buy my shares back.
Pick it up again.
So if you have enough remorseful sellers placing buy orders, the level that was resistance can convert into support. So this is NVIDIA, right? AI this, AI that. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones going back to 1897. All right. Look at this. You see the same stuff. Resistance at former resistance levels, support at former support levels. The reason why you would get support at a level that was support before is because you have people who sold who regret doing so when the price goes higher. It's another form of seller's remorse.
So you can use that as a trigger point theoretically on when to buy. When it hits that level of dip where the sell-off occurred last time, you can sort of anticipate that market regret, so that you can purchase at the level where you can guess that people will buy again.
Yeah, I mean, some price levels are just more important than others. That's just how it is. That's just how markets are. And if you can identify those levels, well, it's not a perfect thing, but it makes your life a lot easier. So going back here, I mean,
looks like, sorry, hold on. Mama Mac is saying we're still on NVIDIA in the chart. Is that accurate? I can't.
Oh.
Yeah, NVIDIA. At the top of the screen in the screen share thing, there should be an option to share this screen. And every time you change the screen on your browser, you're going to have to update the screen share
to
that specific screen. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is the Dow Jones going back to 1897, and you see the same things going on that we see now. Look at this. This is the the market crash in 1929. Goes into a big free fall. Where does it find support? The same level that it was at support back in October of 1903. So this is an example of market memory, and you see the same things now. So let me share this tab instead. And I'm going to just bring up now the technology sector ETF. XLK is the symbol, because this is another one here where you just see this. Like, look at this, right? Just like we just saw support at a former support level. As a matter of fact, if these weren't labeled, and I said this is a chart from 1897, then you couldn't tell the difference. It's the same chart patterns. Another interesting thing about charting, at least to me, is I don't get a share. It says view tab. Let me see here. Okay, let me just see here. Now this is you can see the 1 day chart.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a 1 day chart. All right, you see the same things going on. Actually, this is a good example up here. This is a really good example. I call this the fractal nature of charting. And frankly, I've never heard anyone else really talk about it besides me. When you look at these patterns, like we just saw with those long-term charts, when something gets to a resistance level, there's a chance it stalls out and starts to go lower. We were looking at the chart or the market psychology of people that have longer term strategies, like people with buy and hold strategies or people that trade for a year or so forth. This is a 1-day chart, and you see the same thing. As a matter of fact, if I didn't tell you it was a 1-day chart, you wouldn't know. What happens? We get to resistance at the former peak. So this morning, there were people who bought here who were underwater right after they bought, and they say, if this ever gets back up to my price, I'm going to get out at break even. And
Sell.
that's what happened. And then people start undercutting each other, like we talked about before. So here we're looking at the psychology of people that are day traders, short-term traders. Before, we were looking at the psychology of longer-term investors or longer-term traders. And yet, lo and behold, we see the same patterns because it's a reflection of human psychology. And
Right. It's just an element of nature of man. It seems like you look at an atom, you have a nucleus with electrons spinning around it. Then you zoom out and you have a planet or a sun with planets spinning around it. Then you zoom out and you have a black hole with entire star systems spinning around it. Same phenomenon occurring with the charts. Really good call. Fractal nature. That was a really good way of describing it.
yeah, and because whether you're a day trader or whether you're a long-term buy and hold investor, you experience the same emotions. And that's what we see on a chart. If we look at a chart the right way, most technical analysts or people that look at charts or study charts, they really don't know what the hell they're doing. They think that these patterns are like astrology, and because they don't understand them, they end up losing money. And I think a lot of technical analysts, they kind of are an embarrassment to the profession. Here's something that we could call the old ascending triangle. These are patterns tend to be pretty good, or pretty reliable. So you have a resistance level here that hasn't moved. This means the sellers are hanging out. But as time is going by, we get these bottoms forming at higher levels. This tells us that as time is going by, the buyers are getting more aggressive. So the ascending triangle pattern is an illustration of complacent sellers, aggressive buyers. That sets the stage for a move higher. Let's look at gold.
Let's do it.
And what's really I've been doing this for a long time, and this still, it still blows my mind sometimes. Think about how big the gold market is. It's like all over the world, right? And it's worth trillions and trillions of dollars, and yet somehow it manifests itself in these levels that are like perfect, like just like we saw in the late 1800s or early 1900s, where you get support at former support levels, and we saw in the 1-minute chart. Look at this: gold goes down, and in October of 23, it finds a bottom where at a level that had been support before. I mean, considering how big the gold market is, and how many players there are, it's really unbelievable that the trading can manifest itself in these price levels that are so precise. Like back here, we get this peak around 2085 in August of 20.
Look at the peak in 2021, the second sort of peak, and then it lines up perfectly with the big buy cycle in mid 2023. Also, if you were to extend that second from the bottom line all further to the left, it matches up with another perfect sell-off point. Right there. Yeah.
Yeah. But going back to this, right? So first forms a peak here, then February, March 22, same level. May of 23, same level. December of 23, same level, and then it finally breaks out and goes higher. But I think it's really kind of incredible that we can get these markets. We can see it in oil, we can see it in natural gas. These are worldwide markets, and there's millions of people trading them. And you get these levels that are just so precise. It's really kind of, here we have the instance of what was resistance becoming support. Remember, people sell.
Yep.
And when the price goes higher, they regret selling. And if it gets back to their price, they go to buy them back. So whether you're trading gold, or whether you're a long-term buy and hold investor, or you're a day trader, you experience the same emotions. And this is what we see on charts if they're viewed right. Now let's see what we got going on up here.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I've been doing this a long time. See right here, resistance becomes support.
Support.
And it just it's there's stuff out there like Gann theory and Elliott wave and harmonic charts. That stuff's all garbage, man. No one in the institutional world uses that stuff, and I think it kind of diminishes what we do as well, what I do as like a market technician. So that's the situation there with gold. I mean, just for the hell of it, let me just throw on the oil market here.
Ooh, yeah, good call.
And look at here. You see the same stuff. Bottom here, right? February of 24. Bottom here in June. Bottom over here in August, and then again in later August, right? Same pattern. If you didn't know that this was a chart of oil, it could be a chart of anything. It could be a chart of gold. It could be. Look at this here. I got to make my line bigger here. So, gold goes into a big sell-off, finds support in March of 23, rallies, finds support in June of 23, finds support at the same level of December of 23, finds support in September of 24, and again in September of 24. Now, remember, it's the reason why you get support at a former support level is because of the old seller's remorse. Now, I don't know why this was the first bottom, but I do know why this was a bottom, and it's because it was a bottom here. So you get remorseful sellers trying to buy their gold, in this case, oil, trying to buy their oil back. Some of them say, there must be other buyers lurking around here because the price isn't going any lower. I don't want to miss out. I better increase the price I want to pay, or I'm willing to pay. Someone else sees that and they're like, that guy's willing to pay a higher price. I'm going to pay a higher price too. And it becomes a bidding war that pushes the price higher. So we get back to the support, we rally. We get to the support, we rally. We get to the support, we rally. See, a lot of people that trade lose money because they go into the market with these kind of preconceived notions. The best traders, it's like my partner, Born to Be There, said one time. It's really brilliant. It's like, you don't need to overthink it. Just you need to underthink it, right?
Right.
There are funds that use all this data analysis and all this AI garbage and everything. And there are some that are good, I guess, but there are plenty that suck, So
I'm
I
sure
guess those are just the ones you don't hear about. But
this is just like a straight up common sense way to analyze this.
It's
the way you're coming
supply
from
and demand, and it's it's human psychology. Going back to like how stupid these liberals and progressives are, the herd mentality is a big part of understanding the psychology of trading, because people have this innate sense that they want to be part of a group. I guess going back in evolution, that there was safety in numbers. Now, here's one of my favorite analogies. You're driving up to you're driving up to a toll booth on the highway, and there's one lane that's got like 50 cars, right? And then you pull up and you look around, and it's like, wait a second, that lane up there only has 2 cars. It's got a green light. It's got to be open.
Yeah,
but you pull
I see it all the time.
And you come there. The people that can think for themselves are the ones who make money in the market. The people that get sucked up in the herd mentality that are in the 50 car line, they, they're the ones that lose money. I used to live in Greenwich, like we talked about before, and Byram in Greenwich, where I used to live, is the most southwesterly town in Connecticut. It borders New York. They used to have a Powerball in Connecticut, but they didn't sell it in New York. So whenever the Powerball got to like 500 million, people will come to buy tickets. I guess when it's 50 million, that's just not enough. So the first exit in Connecticut is exit 2. And it's like this little town, a couple blocks, a little part of town. There's a line on the exit ramp. The downtown is completely overwhelmed. There's like lines, going into all the stores. It's gridlock. You could just go drive up to exit 3.
Exit 3.
Right off and walk right into, and there's no one there,
Yep.
So
it's crazy, man. It's that herd psychology. It's real. It's real. And that's what we're seeing on the left, like you said, bigly.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing about trading, there's a lot of different kinds of trading, but I'm just talking about like your, day trading, taking some money and just trying to trade your own money. So like, look at that resistance right at the former resistance level. People are afraid of losing money. people experience fear. It's something that we've evolved. I guess in the old days, if a woolly mammoth was coming after you, fear would be a good thing, right? It could make you run faster or make you get stronger. But when you're in the financial markets, fear is not a good thing. So let's just say I say this too, right? There's 1 million people out there with paper trading systems that have great returns. Paper trading just means you do your trades on paper. You don't commit any real money. Like if you're just starting off, you keep a portfolio or whatever. So let's just say someone buys, their system says, all right, buy 1,000 shares at 10, spend 10 grand, right? That's $10,000. And let's just say your target is 15. Okay, great. That's 50%. Now you don't have any money involved. No, you don't have any real money. It's just on paper. So it goes to 11, it goes to 12, maybe it goes back to 11, then it goes to 13, and it finally gets to 15. And you say, okay, it's time for me to sell. Wow, this is easy. This is easy. I'm going to be the next Steve Cohen, right? I'm up 50%. And let's just say your stop out strategy, which every person should have, if there's one thing you can take away from me talking tonight, is if it goes the other way, where do you get out? It's like, all right, well, I buy in at 10. If it gets to 9, I'm going to just blow it out, take $1,000 loss, and move on to something else. That's on paper. Now let's pretend you have real money in there, real $10,000. It's like, oh, it went to 11, it went to 12. Oh, I'm up $2,000. I know my target is 15, but I don't want to. I don't want to lose
Risk
$2,000.
it.
$2,000's a lot of money, so they sell, and then the thing goes to 15, and they left 3 points on the table because
And they buy when it hits 12 again.
The fear of losing that profit is what made them sell too early. Conversely, if it goes to 9, it's like, I don't want to lose $1,000. So I'm just going to hold on here and hope it goes higher. Then it goes to 8, then it goes to 7. And that's like what I said before. Like Cohen says that 2/3 of his traders, and you got to remember, these are like the best traders, like literally in the world. These guys are making 20, 30, $40 million a year. But only 2/3 of them make money. Only 2/3 of their trades make money, which means there's a third that's either small losses or break even. The difference between those guys and regular people is that they have the emotional discipline to be able to take the loss and get out and move on to something else. It's all about psychology. When you look at a chart, you look at psychology. For example, let's just look at oil here today, right? Well, it's down it's down, let's call it 3%, down 3%. What happened today in the world that made oil 3% less valuable?
Good question.
And what made it today the same value that it was back on August 20th? And all this stuff that went on in between, right? It's like the only thing that's changed is investor perceptions. If we bring up, I don't know what stock moved big today. I'm just going to, I don't know. If anyone's got a stock they want me to look at, just let me know. I guess I'll just pick Visa for a reason. All right, so Visa was up 1% today. Why was Visa worth $270 back here in late September, and it's up 3.6%? What happened? What is the difference? Why is it, or what's different? Why is it that it was worth this much up here, and then it got down by 8% in a matter of 4 or 5 days? What happened that changed the valuation? It's like, did a factory burn down or something? No, it's the psychology. I get really frustrated because if you put on the news, like, one of those like CNBC or whatever, it's like, oh, the market's up on fears of this, or this stock is down on fears of that. The vast majority of moves in a market, 90, 95%, is the stuff I'm talking about here. It's the psychology of the people that are doing the trading.
That's what always comes down to: emotion versus logic. That's the difference between the left and right, in my opinion, a lot of the time as well, is that people on the left are obsessed with emotion and they make emotional decisions, while people on the right analyze and come to a logical conclusion. It's the difference between left and right brained. What do you think about that? And we have a request from Born to Be Free OG to look at, I believe, Palantir.
Okay.
PLTR.
Let me look at this first there.
Sure.
The thing about these people that hate Trump is most of them don't even know why they hate him. We've just lived in such a horrible, whatever. Listen, you could hate Donald Trump, right? I don't care. If you think that he attacked the Secret Service to try to steal the limousine to go drive it over to wherever. Like, you're stupid. You're crazy.
Yeah. Totally ridiculous.
How could you believe that? Then they're saying, oh, he's gonna use SEAL Team 6 to assassinate his enemies. You get these idiots like Whoopi Goldberg, right, and Joy Behar. The thought machine of the Democratic Party are literally two comedians. Remember when Whoopi Goldberg said World War II had nothing to do with race? It's like,
right, yeah.
It says it right in the title. Hitler wanted the Aryan race. Hitler had the Aryan race. It says it right there. How could she miss that? Well, I mean, I know how she could miss because she's stupid. That's why. And then people like her get paid all this money, and
to say nothing.
And then they have Biden on there. And why the hell can't Biden? Doesn't he have a barber? Like, can't he get that stupid little thing he's got going in the back there trimmed? I mean, right? He's the president of the United States, dude.
All right.
Like,
I'm just a podcaster. I can leave a little bit of fluff back there, but Joe Biden, he's trying to cover up the wrinkles from the mask. That's what the people would say.
If he was still alive, I wonder what he would think now. But here's why I think he's such a despicable, horrible man. All right. He could have retired 4 years ago. He knew, and he would be living in his 10,000 square foot mansion, or one of the 4 or 5 that he owns. And he could, have all the tens of millions of dollars that he got kicked back to him, and he could just go on, But it was like, he said, you know what, that stuff could all come out. It could really hurt the country, but I don't care. I've been here for 50 years. It's my turn. F you, And then he comes into office, and
but Trump's the selfish one.
Yeah. Like a complete, narcissist, or he doesn't care about the country. He's just in it for himself. And then he comes in, and I don't know the exact number. I think it was like 83 or 86 Trump executive orders, and he overturned every single one of them. It's like, you're telling me that not one of those 86 the orders made sense? It's like he's like a 5-year-old. He's going to cancel them just because they're Trump. You know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly.
And then let's look at this. He was Obama's vice president for 2 terms, and Obama didn't even endorse him. I don't know if there's ever been a time in our country's history where we had a similar situation where the person who was the vice president for 2 terms wasn't nominated to be the president on the next term. But
not only did he not endorse him, he said, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to fuck things up.
Exactly. And I think, talk about a narcissist. Obama is the ultimate narcissist. And he's from that Chicago political machine. And there, it's like corruption is kind of like accepted. It's like kind of like an open secret. So when he had this idiot Biden as his vice president, I'm sure he knew that Biden was getting all these kickbacks, but he decided to look the other way. And now he's afraid it's going to hurt his legacy, because now it's like, well, dude, if you were so smart, why did you have the most crooked vice president in the history of our country? So, and then when he's checking his watch, when with the 13 soldiers or service people, he's checking his
despicable.
Watch. He really is a despicable man. He really
100%.
And I read that. I read in the New York Post that he's trying to undermine Kamala now. Supposedly,
that's what it seems like.
So it's almost like, all right, well, you guys pushed me out. Screw you. I don't care if Trump wins. He's a threat.
Yep, he put on a MAGA hat a couple weeks ago. Did you see that when Biden put the MAGA hat on?
Oh, I can't wait to wear my Let's Go Brandon shirt when I go vote.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gator. Sorry, go ahead.
I live in a pretty democratic city over here in Stanford, and it's pretty safe.
Oh, yeah.
The gangs have only taken over, I think, 3 apartment complexes. So,
you ever go to Bar Taco? You ever been there, Bar Taco?
Oh,
I love that place.
Yeah. Stanford's a nice place.
Yeah, not bad at all.
It is kind of
except for the leftists.
I'll tell you a funny story, right? I'm a member of the Stanford Land Trust, and we try to acquire land when people pass away or whatever. And there was this 60 acres across the street from me here where the people that owned it were going to sell it, and it was going to get developed. So I didn't want that, because I go hiking in there. I was in there today with my dog, and it's beautiful. All the leaves are changing and everything. So, I go around the neighborhood, and I live in a pretty nice area, but I'm driving around on my bike or walking. And I kind of made a mental note, or not that I made a mental note, but you remember what signs had or what houses had Black Lives Matter signs in front of them. It's like maybe 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 30 houses. So whenever I went to one of those houses and knocked on the door, and I said, yeah, we're trying to raise money to acquire this property over here. We don't want to get it developed and blah, blah, blah. And then I'd be like, and if some radical Black Lives Matter communist gets on the board, that's going to be low income housing. And it's like, whew, they're the fastest people to go get their checkbooks, man. It's like you see like the dust as they run away.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate hypocrisy,
Oh, yeah. Totally. We got a question for you from Gator. He was wondering, what were you doing?
First.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's check out Palantir. Then we'll bring up Gator's question.
And then I'm going to show you a way that an institutional trader would look at the market in a way to kind of find trades. This looks,
awesome.
It looks pretty good, I guess. I don't think I really see too much going on here of note. But we can see the same principles that we talked about before. The level that was resistance turned into support.
Yep.
Support at the level that was support before. Now, this stock's a little more volatile, I should say. But look at here, right? Right here, support, here, support, here, support. On the upside, you got resistance here, you got resistance here. So just, it's because the people that trade Palantir have the same psychology of the people that trade other things. And let's look at the 1-day chart here. And, you can see the same things. Like, look at this, right? Where did it close at support?
Boom.
Where did it close at support? The level that had been support before. Look over here.
So we could see an uptick potentially.
Yeah. Look over here. Support, we sell off, we rally. There's a lot of people who sold here. They're like, oh, this thing's getting crushed. I'm going to sell. And it goes higher, and they're like, damn, I made a mistake. If it gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back. So it's yet another example of support at a level that was support before. Some price levels are more important than others, and that's just how it is. If you know where these levels are, it's kind of like you have like a roadmap to the stock, right? It's
right.
Like,
you just got to be able to learn to find those pivot points.
Exactly.
And pick up on the patterns.
Yeah. So the S&P consists of 11 sectors, and different sectors are in charge at different times, or what I say in the driver's seat at different times. And it's been all about tech and financials recently. Now this, let me get rid of this all here. So this red line here is what we call a Bollinger Band, this squiggly red line. All right. This is 2 standard deviations above the 20-day moving average. Now, according to statistics, 95% of all trading should be within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So if we exceed this threshold, that's going to draw in this case, it's overbought. That's going to draw in sellers who are
a little bit of a bubble.
They're going to be expecting a reversion, and their selling may cause it to happen and may become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, yep.
See how when we got above it over here, we went right down? And then, of course, we find support at the level that was support before. So this is overbought. The other sector that's really been driving the market is the financial sector. And this is overbought as well. So I would be, I'm not saying the market's going to crash, but I would not be surprised to see some kind of a pretty decent correction over the next couple of days.
Very interesting. Yeah.
See, same thing here, right? We get above it and we sell off.
See those rapid spikes indicating a little bit of a bubble, triggering people to sell, bring it back down.
Markets tend to make big moves at 2 times, at the beginning of a trend and at the end of a trend. Because at the beginning of a trend, you have the quote unquote smart money getting really aggressive. When you get to the end of the trend, you got the people that have been on the sidelines, like, oh, I'm waiting for it to come in, waiting for it to come in, waiting for it to come in. Finally, they say, you know what, screw this. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm just going to go buy it. I don't care what price I pay. And they're the last people to the party. So here's our financial sector, and we can see some of the same things we saw before, right? You get support at the level that was support before, the level that was resistance becomes support.
There's purchasing again. Yep.
Here we have our ascending triangle pattern again. The sellers are willing to hang out and just be chill, but the buyers are getting more aggressive as time is going by. So there's the same pattern that we saw on charts of other stocks or other things.
Fascinating.
So
very interesting.
You said someone else had a question?
Oh, yeah. Gator has a question wondering, what were you up to during the subprime mortgage crisis in 2007? He'd
Oh
be
man, it was
interested to hear
scary.
your experience.
It was really scary. That's when I was the head of trading at a fund in Greenwich then, and like I have a good friend, Steve, who he worked at Lehman Brothers for 24 years, and it's
Uh-oh.
very rare on Wall Street to work on one place for that long. He had $3 million worth of Lehman stock in his retirement plan. Then the thing blows up. By the time he got out, because he was like a managing director, so there's all these rules about what you can do and what you can't do, and when you're trading the company stock. By the time he got out, he walked away with $10,000, and a big part of the subprime. I'd have to figure it out on how to do it on a chart, which I don't have enough time. But the market started going down in June. That's where it peaked, right? And then it really started to come apart in the fall. I don't think it's a coincidence. As soon as Obama passed Hillary Clinton in favorability, that's when the market started to go lower. And that's because the market was fearing healthcare socialization, right? So that's a big part of it too. And yeah, I mean, it was scary. I know a lot of people that lost their jobs around here. A lot of people are have Wall Street jobs, and I remember like just driving around, and you would see for sale signs on like all these houses. It was yeah, it was a crazy time, man. It really was.
Super crazy. And the bailouts just made everything worse, like a heroin addict instead of going cold turkey, just extending the problem and pushing it off for a later day, continuing the inflation of the markets. Now, when we hit a crash, it's going to be a million times worse. What do you think lies in the future for us? You think we're going to see a market collapse?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it happens. You know, history repeats itself. It's like Mark Twain said: history may not repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? I mean,
It rhymes. Yep.
the market will crash again. I don't know when. Next week, next year, 2 years, 5 years. Markets crash because people get too bullish, right? If you have excessive bullish sentiment, this goes back to the herd mentality we were talking about. Just say the vast majority of people are bullish and they go buy. Well, guess what? When they're all done, there's no one else left to buy to push the price higher. The market effectively runs out of buyers. And a stock or a market can't go up unless you have buyers. So at that point, the only way it can go down. So that's why excessive bullishness is a bearish thing. Back when the market peaked. Well, you know, let me go back to that. There's a famous story from, well, I think it's probably true. It's a legend, but I guess it's probably true. That Joe Kennedy back in the 20s, he was
running liquor.
Was like the equivalent of what would be a modern day hedge fund manager. They used to call them stock operators down on the floor. So he's walking to work one day and he gets his shoe shined, and the shoe shine boy starts giving him stock tips. So then he goes to his office and he sells everything and he shorts everything, and then the market crashes and the rest is history. So he probably knew, like, gee, if shoe shine boys are buying stocks, who else is out there who's going to push the price higher? They're the end of the food chain. Now, I have a similar Mark Putrino story. I don't have as much money as the Kennedys do.
Damn.
You know what? Joe Kennedy was the first head of the SEC because they.
Oh, really?
They figured FDR figured, he knows all the tricks and so forth. And he actually was a participant in the last, what they call pool, where people would like kind of get together to manipulate a stock. And he made a profit on it. I don't think it was a huge profit, like $14,000 or something like that. And that was the very last pool that was legal on Wall Street. And then when he became the chairman, or when he became the head of the SEC, he said, pools are now illegal. But hey, who better to know this stuff than someone that was active in it, right? Like, you want to protect your house, go find a guy that was a criminal that can tell you, like, or a thief, tell you what to do, So anyway,
putting the fox in charge of the hen house.
My own Mark Putrino story, in December of 21, right when the market was at a peak, I had this guy, a plumber over here, and he was a young guy, he's probably about 30, and he sees my screens and he's like, "Are you a day trader or whatever?" And I tell him what I did, and he said a bunch of his friends, well, he said two of his friends, one was a plumber and one was an HVAC guy, had left their jobs to go become day traders. And he was like, "Do you think I should do it? They want me to do it." I was like, "Dude, stay as a plumber, man. This market is about to go in free fall." And, sure enough, it went down. And, it runs out of buyers. There's only a limited number of people. So, and the opposite occurs in a crash. People panic and they sell, and eventually the market runs out of sellers, and then the only way it could go is up. This is what we call sentiment. in the market. It's what we call like a contrarian signal. It's kind of hard to measure, but that's why, like guys like Warren Buffett say, buy when it's panic and sell when it's euphoric. I mean, something along those lines. I'm sure
it makes
people have been
sense.
probably saying that since the beginning of trading, because like we talked about, herd mentality hasn't changed.
Yep. Real quick, I just want to point out courses.stockmarketjobber.com. Mark's school. Just email for info. Born to be free OG. Pump in your website.
Yeah, and also I'm going to start doing this. We just got started. Today was my first day, but this is one you can pump too. Mark Putrino, CMT at finpub.com. This is all right. So I put videos on here. We can look at this chart of Boeing, right? This is JP Morgan. Now, back in those days, there was all
Can't
this,
see it
like,
on screen, just so you know.
Oh, sorry.
No stress, brother. Oh, JP Morgan. I was going to say, speaking about, putting criminals in charge of things, JP Morgan triggering the 1907 bank panic and then putting him in charge of the Federal Reserve, or at least creating the Federal Reserve. There's another example of that.
Yeah, the famous story is that he got, the market was in a free fall in 1907, and he got all the big guys together and locked them in a room and said, he sat up there and he played cards and he said, you guys aren't coming out until you figure this out. And they all pulled their money together and they propped up the market. But of course, these guys aren't stupid. They bought at the very bottom. But there was a lot of labor unrest going on. And as a matter of fact, there was a big terrorist attack on Wall Street that a lot of people don't even know about. I think it was 1919, and they think that people were trying to assassinate his son, who was running JP Morgan at the time. If you ever go down to Wall Street, the building across the street used to be the JP Morgan building, and it used to have all these like pockmarks in it or damage from when the bomb went off, because they used to say we don't want to clean this up because we want people to remember. And sure enough, how many people know that there was a terrorist attack on
nobody?
Exactly. So anyway, there was all these like union guys and labor unrest, that were looking to get these guys. They thought they were evil or whatever. So I would assume that some of them were going after JP Morgan here, and maybe he's beating one off with his cane.
It was like a Klaus von Stauffenberg type situation, except instead of trying to attack Hitler, they were trying to attack the money changers. Didn't JP Morgan kind of sneak out a rumor that the Knickerbocker Bank was insolvent too, triggering the run on the banks in 1907?
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
And then he comes forth with the solution, a classic problem reaction solution paradigm scenario. Mama Mac is wondering real quick. She's saying, where is it? Where'd it go? With the economy so bad, what does Mark think is keeping the market up so high? BlackRock and others, or 401ks or others playing a role?
I think
Sorry to interrupt the point you're making.
It's because of all the excessive spending. It's just inflationary.
Yep. Makes sense to me. Printing trillions and trillions of dollars. It's got to go somewhere. Artificially keeping the bubble inflated, basically.
Man, I went to the pet store to buy my dog food yesterday. I couldn't believe how expensive it is now. It's like, wow. I mean, it's some things like you don't even think about it. It's like their prices are going up. Anyway, look at this chart of Boeing, right? So it's kind of the same thing.
Oh, man.
Support here.
Then they just announced they're firing 17,000 employees. I think they just announced they're firing as well.
Was that Boeing?
Yeah. 10% of their workforce.
Yeah, it's it's, I mean, all that's, all the like the doors flying off the planes and everything. It's like, oh man, I'm not so sure I would be very comfortable flying. But
inside videos of people in the factories taking parts out of the garbage and putting them on planes, parts that were deemed to be unfit for use. Crazy stuff.
I'll tell you, when I was in college, I had a definitive experience in my life that made me like be really kind of anti-union, right? So I worked as a security guard, and I was working for Burlington Coat Factory, which is now Burlington. Nice. And me and the other guards used to have to watch the Teamsters unload the trucks because these guys will rob you blind. As a matter of fact, they almost expect to like be able to take like a free coat or something. And by the way, me and you could unload an 18-wheeler of like coats off a truck faster than a team of 10 of these guys can. So
Figures.
anyway, this guy has this he's got like 4 or 5 of these white down jackets, and they're supposed to take them off the truck and go put them out on a rack, and then we roll the rack out onto the floor, right? So he's walking across the floor, and it's like he's about 5 feet, and I'm not even kidding you. He's about 5 feet from the rack, and it's like, woo, coffee break time, and he put them right down on the loading dock, and they all got stained. He couldn't go
No way.
another
White jackets.
he couldn't go another 2 seconds.
5 feet.
So
that's just a bastard, man.
Well, the thing about a union is you can't work really hard, because if you do, you make the other guys look bad. So
Right.
you got to just be like, yeah, whatever, man,
Second that clock strikes 12 or whatever, break time, no matter what you're doing. If the coats are 5 feet from the rack, just dump them on the ground.
And a lot of people don't know this, but kind of going back to the thing with the bomb at Wall Street back then, they were never able to figure out who did it. Matter of fact, if you look on my Substack page, I have a book that I read. It's called The Day Wall Street Exploded, which is a good book, which is all about that. But
interesting.
But who went after those guys? Like anarchists, right? These like crazy anarchist wackos, like we still have today, protesting at these universities. Who killed James Garfield? An anarchist. Who killed President McKinley? An anarchist. You know what I mean? These people are Trump's right. These people are sick, man. How about this freaking idiot, Joe Scarborough, man? That guy really.
Oh God. Biden, it's the best Biden we've ever seen. He's the most coherent, sharp Biden we've ever seen. 2 weeks later, drops out of the race after totally embarrassing himself in the debate. Unreal.
It's like, how could people still listen to this guy? Yeah, like, how does he have any credibility?
Mm-hmm. It's just because these people, they're wrapped up in a mass formation psychosis, where they're just terrified to the point where they believe anything that the person in the white jacket, or the figure of authority will tell them. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you guys can see this now, right? This is my Substack page. So let's see here. All right. So, okay, here's my interview with Vice President Harris. If you guys want to read it.
Totally.
So she has solutions, right? So, I welcome her into my office. I don't know, guys. Sometimes I'm just sitting around and just like, I get this this inspiration to go do something. So, how was your trip? Oh, I got here on my plane and motorcade. Can you even believe it? It's a good solution to getting here. My nephew sent me this meme of this Kamala Harris style that whatever accent you talk to in it, that's how it responds to you.
She's been all over the place with the accents lately, too.
But then I said, I'd like to ask you about your investments. You have a lot of money. Your husband wears $20,000 sneakers. What price did he buy them at? It was a gift/donation.
Yeah, she was wearing a $750 belt a couple days ago.
And then it's like, yeah, right? Jeez. Well, one thing I've learned since I used to work at McDonald's is that the solution to making money is to buy stocks that go up. Another solution is to not buy stocks that go down. So, do you use technical strategies? Do you use fundamental strategies? Do you talk?
She said that to you?
Well, dude, I'm just making all this up. Yeah. Yeah. So then she just goes over the same thing, because this is I got inspiration from this by watching one of her interviews. She just keeps repeating the same thing. The solution to making money is to only buy stocks that go up. The solution is to only buy things that go up. I have a solution. The solution is only buy things that go up. Then her teleprompter breaks and she's like, what the fuck? Blah, blah, blah.
32.
So I'm like, okay. And then it's like, good. And then she lets out one of her shrieks. So his solution to successful investing is buying stocks that go up. The solution is to not buy stocks that go down. And this is what she does. It's like she just repeats these platitudes. Oh, and then I say this, a solution to advancing your career now, girls, pay attention. Just have sex with a married man who is twice your age. That's what I did. People seem to forget about that.
Willie Brown.
And I said, if Vice President or if President Biden was alive, what do you think he would say? He's alive. He's in the best shape of his life. He can run circles around you.
So this is a fictional interview, just to clarify.
What's that?
So this is a fictional interview where you're okay. I was like, damn, Kamala came to your office.
I don't think Kamala Harris would be coming by my office to give me an interview.
Oh man.
And then she talks about Joe Biden's solution to get rich. Yeah.
We can only see the top portion of the screen, FYI, if you're trying to show the dialogue.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, just so you know.
Sorry about that.
Okay, boom, there we go.
All right. So anyway, so it's just kind of a satirical thing where she just keeps repeating the same stuff over and over. My solution is to buy stocks that go up. My solution
Sounds
is to
about
not
right.
buy stocks that go down. And she just says, and I'm like, what if your stocks go down? Mark, you're missing the point. The solution is to not buy stocks that go down. But how do you know which stocks will go up and which stocks will go down? The solution is to only buy stocks that go up. But how do you know?
It's something you'd say too.
The solution is to buy stocks that don't go down. I'm like, okay, I'm confused. I'm confused. Did you know I used to work at McDonald's? So she's like, let me elaborate. I believe that a solution to successful investing is to only buy stocks that go up. The other solution is to not buy stocks that go down. So, yeah, that's our esteemed vice president there for you. It's just I mean, I kind of say it in jest and everything, but it's scary. It's scary that a woman like this might potentially become the president of this country.
Beyond scary.
These are not serious people. We talked about Blinken and the Austin before, and you got this idiot Alejandro Mayorkas. I mean, not only is Biden arguably the worst president in our country's history, this has got to be the worst cabinet. I mean, you're going to compare Anthony Blinken to like Henry Kissinger, or John Marshall. It's like, wow. But
right, at least they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening, man. It's kind of frightening. So who knows what is going to happen?
And Mayorkas is like, he's in charge of Secret Service. He's in charge of FEMA. He's in charge of border stuff. Like, this one dude is failing on so many levels. Well, then again, he's not failing. He's doing exactly what they want, facilitating the invasion.
The Biden legacy is going to live on for a long time because eventually there's going to be a terrorist attack here from someone who came over the border.
Yep.
People don't talk about this, but because they're trying to cover it up or whatever. But one of the biggest famines in the history of the world was going on in Afghanistan right now. And let me explain to you why Biden's energy policy caused the war in Ukraine to take place.
Please.
Russia its economy is based on oil. When Biden took office, oil was $32 a barrel. Okay. When the war in Ukraine started, it was close to $100 a barrel. So the hype they tried to put out that they expected us to believe was, oh, the war caused the inflation. It's like, no, the inflation caused the war. Once oil got that high, Russia was able to sell oil and make more money, and that financed the war. So not only is this guy's policies literally lead to famine and war, and they're like, oh, well, Donald Trump, tries to steal the presidential limousine and go over to, the riot or whatever,
Insane. And people believe it, and they're completely distracted from all the things that actually matter. Worrying about mean tweets and Trump calling people names. It's like, that shouldn't even be a factor when you're considering a next president. Look at their policies. Look at their track record. Don't worry about their personality. Don't worry about, these superficial nonsense topics. It drives me crazy, man.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem in our country right now, or who knows if it's ever going to change, is just the lack of education of people and what's considered to be an intellectual, or it's such a low bar. These kids go to school, and I mean, look at all these idiots up at all these college students that are protesting. Like they took over Colombia, okay? Because back in the '60s they took over Colombia. So they're interviewing the woman or the girl who's running this thing, and she's like, they're in a building that they take over, and she's like, we need water, we need food. It's like, wait a second. You need water? They don't have any sinks in this building. They don't have any plumbing. And then they were on their 8-hour hunger strikes. They'd go on a hunger strike for 8 hours. So anyway, I don't know. To me, it's pretty. All right. I got to just keep going on. You know what really, 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 really pisses me off? When they show a picture of Joe Biden and you could see a portrait of George Washington or Abraham Lincoln behind him and think that this narrow-minded, corrupt guy occupies the same office that these great men did. It's just so. It just angers me, and it
It's
makes me nuts.
obscene. It's
And
obscene.
then this freaking idiot Hunter Biden, he kind of fell off the radar screen. I wonder what's going on with him. I think that he might have a subconscious thing to kind of ruin his father.
That's what people are saying. He threatened to put Joe Biden on the stand in one of his trials a couple of years ago, and kind of backed off the state from continuing the prosecution. Seems like
who brings a
and
laptop into a
Ashley,
computer that has movies of him having sex with prostitutes and
right, and then leaves it there. Or Ashley Biden just so happens to leave her diary in a place where it's discovered, and it comes out that Joe Biden was showering with her when she was 11. It's almost like these people hate their father and are intentionally trying to sabotage him.
And what about the cocaine they found in the White House?
Yeah, people were saying that was for Kamala recently.
Really? No, I've heard she's like a big pothead, which makes sense.
She smokes pot and listens to Tupac.
She is half Jamaican.
Jamaican man, right by the
story
beach.
That his here's another underreported story that her husband knocked up the nanny. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh yeah, but he's like the marker of the new definition of a man.
Yeah, he's a white dude for Harris, right?
White dudes for Harris, so brutal.
I mean, I guess all we can do is laugh, but
should be soy boys for Harris.
It's pretty like you go to the store and you just see these prices. I mean, they've kind of broken a little bit now, but like when Trump, now the new Democratic talking point is like, oh well, Trump spent as much money as Biden, but it's like Trump was spending money during the pandemic. Biden just spent all the money to get votes after the pandemic was over, and we didn't need it. You know what I mean? So it's two different things. And I was thinking about this the other day. Remember how like they came up with the vaccine and they waited till after the election to say it because they didn't want Trump.
Right? Yeah, Biden. I wouldn't take a vaccine issued by Trump, and then they immediately launched the same vaccine when he's president. When he got elected, so to speak. And everybody just forgot about how dangerous it was because it was Trump.
Can you imagine what would have happened if Biden was president when the pandemic started? We would have lost.
We'd still be locked down.
Oh
yeah.
Well, he wanted to shut stuff down for like another 6 months. There's no way he could ever get the vaccine done. But hey, he's Uncle Joe. He's Uncle Joe. His cannibals ate his uncle. Well, whatever, man. Uncle, what was that? Uncle Hootie or Uncle so-and-so?
Not sure.
I forget. Well, you know that story, right? He said the cannibals ate his uncle.
Oh, Uncle, yeah. I can't remember the name, but yeah. Like Aboriginal Papua New Guinean indigenous people ate his uncle.
Yeah, right.
And there was just no evidence that any of that was even remotely true.
Yeah, it's pretty it almost leaves you speechless. It almost leaves you like you don't even know what to say. Can you imagine if Donald Trump said that? If he said that's all we would hear about, like Trump
It'd be fact checks, yeah, constantly.
And that thing with what's her face there and JD Vance, she's like, the gangs have only taken over a couple apartment complexes.
Right. Well, that's all it takes.
Are you out of your mind? They shouldn't. It's not that bad because they've only taken over. And notice what she said. Not apartment complexes. So these are like big buildings.
Mm-hmm.
But there's only a couple of them, so no big deal. Move on. Nothing to see here.
Colorado, Texas, New York, possibly also. Yeah, it's happening in a number of places. Supposedly, I saw something. Kamala and Joe brought in like 5% of the entire population of Venezuela, 6% of 6% of Venezuela, 5% of Haiti. They're bringing all these countries with massive crime problems, bringing all the criminals in, and then what do you expect is going to happen?
I know. It's just, he's stupid. He's a dumb guy. Like he should be tending bar at some cheap hotel somewhere.
For real.
Like, remember Howard Johnson's? And yet the guy is the friggin' president of the United States. So
I just don't understand how people can't see through it. Anybody got any questions out there? Feel free to type into the chat if you got any questions. What else is on your mind in the meantime?
Let's see. What else is on my mind in the meantime? Well, I got to blow my leaves, man. I got leaves all over the yard here. But It's really nice though.
About
I'm
that
up in
time.
New England. All the leaves are changing. We're dog sitting my brother's dog, who's like a puppy, and it's a real pain in the ass. My big old dog doesn't get along with him very well.
Oh no, it's the worst.
Well, Clifford is my he's what they call a box wilder. He's half boxer and has half Rottweiler. He's a big guy. He's like 110
Whoa.
pounds, and he's old. He's 14, which is old, exceptionally old for a big dog. So he just wants
Yeah.
to. He'll play with Jasper, my brother's dog, for like a minute, and then he wants to lay down. But Jasper just wants to keep playing, and then they end up
Just
like
constantly.
they end up getting into fights or whatever. But I don't care. I'm a dog lover. I love all animals. So
Same here. Same here.
you have any
Gator, let's see. They're stupid. The people are stupid for not standing up to what is happening. Let's see. It doesn't look like we've gotten any more questions in the chat yet at this point.
Let me ask you a question. If I went up to people in the street and I said, "Is the United States a democracy?" I wonder how many of them would say yes. My guess is the vast majority.
Like 97% probably.
Yeah,
Completely clueless. You talk about the people getting dumber. Well, John D. Rockefeller said we want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. Charlotte Thompson Iserby, one of the former assistant secretary of educations whose dad was Skull and Bones, released this massive book called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, like telephone book sized publication. And it just chronologically tracks everything that they've done to destroy the education system over there. Yeah, 99.9%.
Yeah.
Joe Frey is asking, what would be the better investment, gold or bullets? Can't eat gold, but can't shoot food along with intruders.
Well, people think if society collapses, they're going to have gold. Well, you know what? If someone's got a gun, they're going to take, they don't care. If society collapses, gold is going to be worthless. The only thing that's going to be worth stuff is, water, guns. My play
Sunglasses.
is vitamins, right? If society collapses, I'm going to go down and loot CVS and steal as many vitamins as I can, because a couple weeks later, when no one has any food and everyone's getting malnourished, vitamins are going to be pretty valuable. So that's my panic play for the end of time.
Good call. Vitamins are key. Vitamins and nutrients. Yeah, big time. Be looting the local GNC.
You know what? I got like probably 8 boxes of vitamins up in my cabinet just for this reason. So I'll be nice to you guys though. If society collapses, I'll send you guys one.
Yeah, you're the man. Appreciate it. So let's cover some of the places where our listeners can find you. You want to bring up your website, your YouTube, and show people how they can find you, what they can do at Benzinga to learn from you. I think that over on Benzinga, or no, your Substack, you when you let people sign up, you give out a free trading tip every day. Is that right?
I haven't really figured out how to price it. I do different things every day, but this is my Substack, right? And it's just Mark Putrino CMT. That's for the. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This is my FinPub. So it's Mark Putrino CMT. That's Chartered Market Technician, which is I guess a certificate or something I got like long time ago. On Wall Street, you got CFAs, which are all over the place. They're chartered financial analysts, and then you have a narrow group of CMTs, which are Chartered Market Technicians. But my site here is markputrino.cmt.finpub.com. So that's FinPub, and then Substack is markputrinocmc.substack.com. And then our YouTube site is Stock Market Jobber OG. So yeah, we're trying to get a community together. We've already got a bunch of people that are, have learned a lot, have become good friends with each other and so forth. So, it's going pretty well, but we're really trying to make a push now. And I think that this thing with FinPub is going to really take off, because this is a platform that's backed by Porter Stansberry. Porter Stansberry has 85 million followers,
Yeah,
so
including
a lot
me.
of people are going to be looking at that. And
I got the Stansberry research emails.
Yeah, he owns all kinds of different things. And I don't know if upset is the right word, but well, I guess it is, all right, even mad. When I see these like services that try to sell things to people, like learn how to trade with GAN theory. And I wonder, like, does the person who is doing this really believe it? And they're just trying to rip or they just try to like take advantage of people. So I see all these people lose all this money, and I just want to help them and learn how the markets really work, and see if I can just help them not so much make money, but just not lose money.
Boom. Yeah, the same thing I'm trying to do is just help people get information and figure out what's going on, which is exactly why we decided to link up, because we have the same goals in mind, trying to educate and empower people. In my case, in the information war, your case in the financial markets and the trading, markets and everything.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me, like, Mark, like, I've been losing money for 20 years, and now all of a sudden I talk to you and things have changed. The last year I've done really well.
Nice. That is awesome.
That's how I met,
is there any
that's how I met
go ahead,
Born to Be
brother.
Free.
Sorry.
He was one of my students.
Oh, all right. So you guys know each other. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Born to Be Free OG. Killer. So yeah, I want to encourage everybody that's here to head on over to Stock Market Jobber on YouTube. Subscribe. He's got all kinds of good stuff over here, analyzing the markets pretty much every day. You put out videos, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And you guys will definitely learn something. You will definitely learn something. This is important stuff to understand and to be able to analyze, to figure out the trends and to prepare yourself for what's coming. So just good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, yeah. Anytime, man. I've had a good time.
You are welcome. Maybe we could do like a weekly market updates or something like that. And,
yeah, I'd be happy to.
That'd be awesome. Anything else you would like to add before we wrap up the interview?
Just remember, when I talk to people, if you want to understand technical trading, it's what price levels are important, what's the momentum, levels, trends, momentum, and psychology. That's what I say. Levels, trends, momentum.
Levels, trends, momentum, psychology. Psychology.
All
about psychology.
The number one thing. Another thing is coming up with a system or a strategy that fits your personality. Everyone's got a different personality. So someone's personality, maybe they got a lot of energy and they like to be involved in the markets. They might be a good day trader. There are people that have more of like a different kind of a thought process, and they want to read balance sheets and income statements and be long-term buy and hold investors. It's not, neither one is right. The one that's right is the one that's that fits your personality. I mean, if you made Patrick Mahomes a linebacker, he probably wouldn't do very well. But he's born to be a quarterback. He's not born to be a linebacker. So you got
a million ways to skin a cat. You just got to figure out the one that works for you.
Exactly.
Awesome. So I will look forward to having you back on sometime soon. And I appreciate you coming on. Rich, thanks so much for linking us up. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. I learned a lot through this interview, so I'm going to be trying to implement some of this and taking a look at charts and seeing if I can figure out these patterns for myself. Not that I have any money to invest, but it's important stuff to know.
Right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much. We'll look forward to having you back on sometime soon, my friend.
Okay, great.
All right. We'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks again, everybody, for your great questions and everything. And we'll have Mark back on sometime soon. All right, brother. We will catch you soon.
All right. I'm trying to figure out how to leave here.
I can pull you off screen, and then you can just close the browser or that window, and that'll be all you need to do. All right, man. Thanks so much for joining us. I had a great time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace. All right. Let's see. Boom. All right. Thanks. Big thanks to Mark Putrino. We'll have all of his websites linked in the show notes following the broadcast, so you can check out his material for yourself. Do a little deep dive, and I'm sure that there is a ton of stuff that you will find interesting. Real quick, let's take a little musical interlude, and then we will be right back. Speaking of all the banks and stuff, here's my song, Don't Sleep, End the Fed.
History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance. President James Madison. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Thomas Jefferson. They're closing the door, they're locking the cage. Lady Liberty is rolling straight to the grave. The home of the brave, now the land of the slaves. The walls being built up in stages by the same criminal scum that devalue our wages. Rothschild's agents all throughout history's pages, centralizing the economies of nations, spreading their influence by means of infiltration. Greed, deceit, persistence, patience, all the MO of the NWO. Funding socialism as a means of centralizing control. Neo-feudalistic world government is the goal. Mayor Rothschild talking like he's a god. Think about the implications, even take a pause. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. He said, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Mayor Rothschild talking like he's a god. Think about the implications. Don't sleep, Lady Liberty, open your eyes, and I care not who makes its laws. Open your eyes, and you can find the truth, and I care not who makes its laws. Don't sleep, Lady Liberty, open your eyes, and I care not who makes its laws. Open your eyes, and you can find the truth, God. Survival that rights depend on you. Lady Liberty, don't close your eyes, cause in the darkness the evil multiplies. Cause out of the light of the public, the Bilderberg groups dismantling the barbed wire built to guard our rights and our justice. A constitution, 10 amendments written on hemp to give strength to a group of people in need of an uprising in time to defeat a treasonous leader. National politics is modern day Broadway theater. Obama and his cronies are nothing but a bunch of Wall Street thugs, puppets and phonies, dumping their BP stock before the well blew, then lying to the public like who the hell knew. And you can think that isn't the case, but Rahm Emanuel states you never want a serious crisis to go to waste, even if they have to create one. If they lack the cash, they're the banks, they just make some. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Wake up America, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Mortis Noctu, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. 2010, Mayor Rothschild talking like he's a god. Think about the implications before it's too late. Don't sleep, Lady Liberty, open your eyes, and I care not who makes its laws. Open your eyes, and you can find the truth, and I care not who makes its laws. Don't sleep, Lady Liberty, open your eyes, and I care not who makes its laws. Open your minds, and you can find the truth, God. Survival that rights depend on you. Sweet sister, I know the burden is heavy, but you need to keep your head up high so it doesn't get buried by the ever-rising mountain of debt issued by the Fed, engineered to lead the middle class to its end. These are dangerous times that we living in, whole toxic oceans of bogus financial instruments we swimming in. The global derivatives market is comprised of over $1.5 quadrillion. It's the biggest bubble ever waiting to implode, heralding a reign of darkness all over the globe, enough to swallow up the world's GDP repeatedly, literally more than 20 times the whole Earth's annual productivity. Listen to me, begging business elite built an existing system to cheat us out of our rights and money by extracting and using the value. If you could ask Mayor Rothschild, he would tell you, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Mayor Rothschild talking like he's a god. Think about the implications. Don't sleep, Lady Liberty, open your eyes, and I care not who makes its laws. Open your eyes, and you can find the truth, and I care not who makes its laws. Don't sleep, Lady Liberty, open your eyes, and I care not who makes its laws. Open your eyes, and you can find the truth, God. Survival that rights depend on you. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. For liberty, end the Fed. For freedom, end the Fed. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. It's time to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. For freedom, 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 end the Fed. For freedom. Whoever controls the volume of money in any country is absolute master of all industry and commerce. President James A. Garfield.
Boom! All right. That was Mark Putrino. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview. I had a lot of fun. Man, that hour just flew by like nothing. I could pick that dude's brain for days and days. Hope you guys enjoy his channel, Stock Market Jobber, over on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe today so you can stay on top of the markets. Let's jump over to our next topic for today. We're going to visit Tony ×2 at TonyX2 TWO on X for an update from Northern Carolina. Western North Carolina update from someone who has boots on the ground in assisting operations, saying the death toll of 200 is not accurate. Let's listen to some of this lady's video here.
Whatever you think you know about Western North Carolina and what's going on over there, you're wrong, unless you're there. I've debated on if I even wanted to make this video because I don't really want to start a bunch of conspiracy theories or anything like that, but I do feel like word needs to get out about what is actually happening that news is not covering. So here's the facts. I have been assisting with running missions and dispatch for an operations team there for the last week. And last week I was assisting running those missions in Ashe County. I've been in Swannanoa this week, and we've been running 70 missions a day, getting help to these people that are not being helped right now. So when I tell you this is firsthand knowledge, this is firsthand knowledge. The death toll of 200 or 200-ish is what's being reported right now. That's not accurate. My organization sent out 10,000 body bags to local authorities this week, and they're requesting more. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all 10,000 of those has been used, but it does mean that they're finding a need, and that they're thinking that they're going to need more.
Lady H, good to see you. Hope you enjoyed dinner. So this is crazy. She's saying that her organization has already brought 10,000 body bags into Western North Carolina, and that they're ordering more. We've been saying from the start that there have been similar reports. Entire towns washed away. It wouldn't surprise me if the death toll was in the many thousands when this is all said and done and we figure out what's going on. I mean, it's never going to be said and done. Things are never going to be back to normal, but just horrifying, man.
I will tell you, we've spoken to some of the funeral homes and refrigeration truck companies that have been brought in, and there's, 1,000 in this town, 800 in this town, 500 in this town, and we're finding more bodies every day. This is an ongoing process. My team has cadaver dogs that have been going out. We have med teams that are going out. It's not only deaths from the storm, but deaths since the storm. There's a huge need, particularly in our Hispanic communities. A lot of them are scared. There's Border Patrol trucks driving around, and they're scared to ask for help. We've lost 2 Hispanic children to hypothermia in our community this week because they didn't know that help was out there for them, and they don't know who to trust. So the devastation in this area is beyond what anything that I've ever seen before. It's beyond what anybody that has lived it has seen before.
Speaking of Katrina, Bill, 1,392 confirmed dead from Katrina. I got a feeling it's going to be significantly worse than that, sadly.
We're talking to survivors that rode their house a mile down the river. We're talking to people that sat there and told us about 40-foot walls of water looking like tsunamis coming through these towns that have never seen anything like this, and they've lived there their entire lives.
Joe Frey saying he's got a friend up there who knows of one small area that got washed out with 80 people gone, and they're not letting anyone in even to find survivors. Exactly, and they're coming up, this 200 dead number. It's going to be way higher than that. I got a bad feeling about this. Oh, man. So if you guys want to watch the rest of the update from this lady, the link will be in the description. But speaking of mass death, mass murder, let's hop over to Illuminati Bot. This should be the cover of People magazine, but it hasn't been yet. The most prolific serial killer of all time. And we probably need to end on YouTube before we get, well, I guess we're not really going to talk in any more detail about that stuff at this particular moment. Nonetheless, we'll terminate the YouTube feed. If you're watching on YouTube, come on over to Alt Tech, where the water is warm and we can speak freely. If you can't make it, we'll catch you on the flip side for more common sense. Until then,